How is everyone doing? Hopefully your week's gone well so far. Hopefully your week's gone well. What's newsworthy today? Well, you know what? We have a couple security things. There's two things that I think you should know about. And then there's maybe a novelty item in security that I found novelty. So yeah, anyways, so that will be awesome. Then I did a small amount of investigation into, is there a pause on AI data centers? Microsoft pulled out of AI data centers in Ohio, but is that a larger trend, or is that more of their lack of faith in OpenAI and OpenAI's workloads? Because these data centers were actually earmarked for OpenAI workloads. So we'll get more into that as it goes. I want to talk a little bit about Whisky. I think the maintainer of Whisky deserves a huge shout out. And 1 second, somebody just knocked at my door. I'm going to be right back. Enjoy this chair stream. All right. Hey, sorry about that. Let's jump into the news now that I've wasted some of the time. I didn't waste the time. To be clear, wasn't my fault. All right. Let's jump into the news. Let's start off with security. All right. There has been a critical vulnerability found in PyTorch. So if you guys, we've been using PyTorch on the stream, and so I wanted to bring this up. Obviously, the way to fix this is to update. But it was an interesting issue where there could actually be if you loaded and ran a model, there could be remote code execution. So if you downloaded a model, you didn't know who it came from exactly, or there was a supply chain issue, you know, that model could that model could actually execute random code on your machine. Yep. So that was like, it's interesting. Like I said, the actual thing here to do is to update your machine, update your PyTorch. So nothing too interesting. But yeah, if it's the weights only parameter was set, you could load any software that you wanted. You could run anything that you wanted on the machine. So there hasn't been a detailed method for exploiting it yet. It would be interesting to see that when it comes out. They do have the CVE and it has been patched. I'm sure that they shared the exact way of exploiting it with their team, with PyTorch, but so yeah. Anyways, you know, I think machine, the moral of the story is it's actually pretty easy. You would say that you don't expect it from such a popular framework, but the actual issue is like, it's really easy for something like this to happen, especially when like loading and executing models. I think it's actually pretty easy to happen. Most Python is mostly C++, right? Most Python is C++ wrapped in Python. That's the majority of it. All right, before more people get angry. SSL.com. This one I do want to bring to your guys' attention because SSL.com actually signed erroneous certificates. There's 7 of them specifically. You know, if you know of them, you know, if it was you, then there you go. But it signed 7 erroneous certificates. So this one you probably should actually be aware of, as it's a pretty big deal. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Actually, just going back to a previous conversation that we're having on the news for some reason, I actually think Python as a front-end language like that is really interesting. It means like one, like it's put a lot of effort into usability, and the statement is it's okay it's not the fastest because you can interpolate between the two so easily, and we can just make this really nice front-end UI, basically, out of a language. It's an interesting idea. You get the speed out of some other language and the usability out of a different one. So it's a cool concept. Yeah. Oh, you know what, Monta? I need to disable those while we're doing the news. Can I refund you those? I'll figure out a way to refund you. I'm doing the news right now. I'm not doing an easy hacker rank. I'll do one tomorrow. If you join tomorrow and ask, I'll do it for you. That's how you can redeem it. All right. A thing I did find was a novel universal bypass for all major LLMs. I think that this is a very interesting take. Supposedly, this includes OpenAI, Google, Meta, DeepSeek, Quinn, and Minstrel, and Anthropic models. Were all able, with a novel combination of internally developed policy techniques and role-playing, they are able to bypass model alignment and produce outputs that are in clear violation of AI safety policies. That's actually pretty interesting. I have seen some of these, and they're all very, very interesting. And the fact that they got basically one set of procedures. Now, they didn't share that set of procedures. I'll share this with you all. I'll share this all with you, but they didn't share that set of procedures. They merely stated that they just merely stated that they have a set of procedures, a set of steps that basically got rid of all of the safety precautions on all of these. They go into some, they don't give the whole steps, but they go into some of the things that they did to do that. So you should go check it out, because I never know of whether I should try these on stream or not, because like I want to try them from a just testing it out. I also don't want to get banned from the platforms. I don't know which one. I don't know. We'll create a new account and we'll try some out on one of these Saturday streams. Perplexity has never heard of. So it basically unfilters them. Yes, it gets it to respond to anything that you ask for, in things, including things that they don't want it to. The light makes my hair look gray. I think that my hair being gray makes my hair look gray. I think that's probably a better statement. Scott, you and Ultra AI respond to a lot of things I don't want you to. That's like your role. Yeah, I just didn't train you all very well. That's what most people don't know, is I got so few viewers, I had to train my own viewing bots to seem real, to get past Twitch. If you're listening, I didn't do that. Okay, calm down, calm down. All right, another question that we have to ask ourselves is the demand for AI data centers falling off the cliff? There's been a lot of reports that say this is true. So we know that Microsoft paused some data centers. We're not entirely sure why, but I did dig into that a couple weeks ago when they made the announcements, and it looks very much to be linked to the crumbling relationship between them and OpenAI. I say crumbling relationship. I'm not saying they're not exclusive anymore. We all know what that means. But does it mean that AI demand is falling off? Is that's like the bigger question that we have to ask. Now, maybe it is, maybe it's not. And my other question is AWS actually pausing? So what a lot of people point to is Amazon is reported reportedly reassessing some co-location lease negotiations. Now, this doesn't mean that the demand. So in my research, I actually looked through a lot of different resources that I could get to and access and read, and because I wanted to see, is this related to that? And the thing that I could find is it doesn't actually appear to be. It does appear to be cost-cutting concerns. It does appear to be cost-related, absolutely. But it doesn't appear to be lack of AI demand, from what I can see. You can look at a joint announcement made by Amazon and NVIDIA that basically says that NVIDIA hasn't seen a slowdown in demand for their chips, which there would be some lead time on that. Another statement by Amazon that basically just said they have no significant change in demand. We currently continue to see very strong demand, and we're looking for the next couple of years as long-term and seeing the numbers only going up. So while I saw a lot of big tech companies cut back on AI spending and people pointing to just a very few things that happened, I didn't actually find any evidence to state that this was actually true. Now, is AI, do you guys still find it as useful as, the novelty? Is novelty wearing off? That's a question we should be asking. I actually want to try to highly leverage AI to produce a product that you guys can leverage. And see how well it does. How much I have to step in. Does it save me time? Does it save me $20 a month worth of time? $50 worth a month of time? $500 a month worth of time? Or maybe it just gets in my way more. We really need to find out. And I know we do the AI games and they're fun, but yes. I've already started planning for this falls. All right, so there was a project. What do you guys think? Do you guys think AI demand is coming down? What did Russell post here? Ah, yes, I did see this. Chinese data centers refurbing and selling NVIDIA RTX 4090s due to overcapacity. I don't know if this is due to overcapacity. I don't know if this is due to the fact that they're actually really expensive in China now. So like basically they can just roll a huge profit on them. I'm not entirely sure. I also don't know. I don't know the Chinese infrastructure better. Like, I'm not as in tune with the Chinese infrastructure. I watch much more of the US infrastructure. I tend to think that with how fast we've built, it feels like there has to be an overabundance. Except for the fact that, like, when OpenAI released a new feature, their whole service slows to a crawl. Now, that would indicate to me that at peak we have too little. And then maybe after the hump of new people trying and playing around and cartooning themselves, maybe we have too much. I don't know. And this is actually the solution that the cloud solved for us. This is something we haven't had to do, was this capacity planning, where you plan capacity over the next 3 years. Because you can have spur of the moment spot instances spin up to deal with more capacity, and then you can dynamically shed all of that workload. Now, maybe AIs are worse at being able to do that. Maybe we're not as good at doing that. And maybe that means that AI data centers that Microsoft and whatnot produce have a lot more that are idle because they're only needed for peak times. I don't know. These are a lot of complicated questions to answer. Russell, you caught me. I am a very, very long-term Chinese sleeper cell that originated from Canada. That was like the long ploy is, I used to live in Canada. Like, my family's history is from Canada, and, so nobody would suspect me. Very good catch. I'm Chinese Canadian, 100%. This was 300 years in the making, getting me here. I can't believe you caught me so quickly. I was a little worried when you guys started realizing I was Canadian. Like, my past has caught up with me. Yeah, that was my handler. The knock previously was my handler. They keep pretty close tabs on me. Too powerful. All right. So we all know the bomber curve. We all appreciate the bomber curve and what it can empower us to do. And I do believe that the bomber curve with AI has great potentials. If you're peaking on the bomber curve and just hitting the AI up, I do believe max productivity is going to go through the roof. Now, that being said, the bomber curve is going to be a little bit more difficult for the likes of us who have a crapple machine. So not me, but for the rest of you, I did want to point this out because this might come as a surprise. It might come as a pain. But if you're using a Mac, the Whisky project is no longer being actively maintained. Whisky Wine was something to help you run Steam games on your crapple OS. But there is a solution. Go pay for crossover. Now, I actually thought that this was really mature for the person who wrote this. The AI stories. I thought that this was a pretty mature take on it. There was a conspiracy that this person was actually paid off by Crossover to stop supporting the open source Whisky so that Crossover would get that, because he was like, if Whisky no longer cutting your needs, buy Crossover. And I do believe that's pretty absurd. This is some college student that wants to go focus on college and blatantly said that they're not finding Whisky fun anymore and it's not paying them. And the other thing that I thought was a mature take to have is that Code Weavers and Crossover actually contribute to Wine, something that he never was able to do, and that it was good to support them. I thought it was a pretty holistic take that I appreciate. I hope that it's genuine. I hope that it's a genuine take, and I appreciate it. So if you're on Mac, there is still hope for your gaming. Go buy Crossover or just go buy a real computer. Either one works, but if you're using Whisky, it's not being actively maintained anymore. All right. How's everyone doing so far? Google lost a lawsuit, and we talked about that lightly. And I said we'd wait and see where the chips fell, right? We'd wait and see where the chips fell. And as talks of selling off Chrome have heated up, there are a lot of potential buyers. But you know what I found interesting was there's two predominant buyers out there. The first one is OpenAI, and the second one is Perplexity. Both of these have the cash to offer a lot of money. Now, I put in my bid. I emailed Google. I said that I would put in $4,000 for it, and that includes the team. I want the team at Google to come in with that $4,000, and that they could have a 49% stake in the new company, with a small investment of $1 billion. But this would prove to be an independent web powered by me. So we'll see if they take that. I will put down the $4,000 of my own money. So nobody's talking about my proposal to Google. I don't know why. I even leaked it myself to multiple news agencies. I'm not sure. But OpenAI, Perplexity have both made it apparent that they're going to make a statement for it, and that has superseded my offer. So we'll see. I actually think that Chrome going to any company would be a shame. I would love to see Chrome be independent. I would love to see Chrome be made purely open source and just spun off as a purely open source project. Not Chromium, Chrome. That's actually honestly what I would like to see happen, but yeah. Here comes the AI blocker plugins. This actually terrifies me. I actually really don't want, like, Chrome goes to one of these companies and it's worse than ads. It's worse than ads. They'll literally be training their AIs off of your web browsing. Think about that. Think about the privacy concerns of an AI-owned browser. I just cannot reasonably think this as good in any way. That's why you got to use Edge, machine. You got to use Edge. Every query ends with RM-RF. Yeah. Wait till they make that mistake. Wait till they don't sanitize their thing. So anyways, I will continue to follow up on this. I'm watching it. We'll see where it lands. Hopefully it doesn't go here. We'll see. Talking about AI and horrifying features, Recall is finally unrecalled. It's recall minus because it's been unrecalled. Recall was released in a mad dash rush with a ton of security concerns, to the fact that everything in Recall was stored unencrypted on the hard drive, where any user could see any other user's features or recalls. And we're talking huge privacy concerns, because there was no filtering of credit card information that it took pictures of. There was no filtering of, private emails that it was taking pictures of. There was no apps exclusion from it. So you could say, like, hey, don't recall my browsing because, like, that's just a nightmare. Don't recall my gameplay because, man, am I embarrassed about that. there was no way of doing those things. So there was a lot of missing features. There was a lot of security, just flat out concerns. And to top it all off, it was enabled by default and not uninstallable. Now, according to this, according to the few people that are on Windows Insider that I was able to read, if you are in it and you have one of the Snapdragon X Elite versions of the CPU, so there's only a few actual laptops that actually support it, you can disable it. And it is disabled by default. Now, can you uninstall it? I'm not sure at this point. I wasn't able to figure that out because for a long time, you couldn't uninstall it. You could disable it, but you couldn't rip its guts out. So, if you're running on Windows, my recommendation is you go and you make sure that it's disabled, especially if you're on one of these. That's recall it. Now, supposedly it has some sensitive information filters that it automatically applies. I don't know that I would trust those. It does. The one feature that I thought was pretty good is that you can now tell it apps to not capture. So I would just say browsing in general, the amount of sensitive information you put in a web browser is staggering these days, from bank account information and email and that type of stuff. So I would say that you just go ahead and exclude your browser from it. That's maybe one of the biggest security concerns for me on my machine, would just be like my banking. The other one that I would say to make sure you exclude from it is if you use a password manager, you exclude the password manager from it. If you're wanting to use the recall feature, make sure you get that out of there. That contains all of your sensitive information from the list of accounts that you have. If you use a two-factor authentication app, any security-based thing should be excluded by default, but you should go in and exclude it anyhow to make sure that it's not capturing those things. This is only on the ARM CPUs. You're absolutely right. The Snapdragon X Elite. So, which I've heard are good computers. I don't know, though. I don't know. Hey, what are we working on today? Today is the news. I take my lunch hour to do the news with you all. I cover interesting things that are happening in the software engineering world, and I let you all know. And we have a discussion about it. So make sure you come with your thoughts. Bring your own things. If you actually miss something, let me know. Dystopian OS will be the future. I'm not going to eat while doing this. No way. Pet peeve of mine. I hate it when streamers eat on stream. I absolutely hate it. When I do my long stream on Saturday, I will eat a snack in the one coffee break that I take. Why would I chew on the microphone for everybody? And if there's somebody that likes that, I don't want to know that you like me chewing into the microphone for you. Like, I don't need to know that information. Please, now that I told you, dang it, don't. Gosh, dang it. I shouldn't have said anything. It's weird. It's just weird. Like, let's not do it. All right, let's move on. GitHub had a rash. Just turn off your screen. Oh gosh. GitHub had a rash of blog posts that I thought I would cover with you. Interestingly enough, they took one down. I'm telling you the unreleased news, okay? The unreleased news is about to happen here. They released this blog post. It was a blog post. Whoops, we haven't written that blog post yet. The fact is, they have release this blog post. They released it. I read it. I saw it and I read like the opening paragraph. But it's gone. And I couldn't find it. I went through their blog. I tried to find it. Improvements to the changelog experience. I don't know what it is because I didn't get to read it fully because I had just put it on the save for later list and it's gone now. So there are improvements coming to GitHub. I have insider information on this to the changelog experience in GitHub. Oh, we should wait. I should have wayback machined it. I should have wayback machined it. Can I do that now? 1 second, let me try that right now. Please hold. Where do I actually see the, Here we go. Here we go. All right. So this was deleted. It did exist. It did exist. What's changing? We're excited to share. I should have way back. I didn't think about it. New UIs for users who read through the changelog is on GitHub blog home webpage. This is meant to make your reading journey a lot more seamless by providing necessary contextual elements around each post. So it looks like they're adding some changelogs at the top to let you look for like deprecations, new release, whatnot. Looks good. What exactly are the changes? The overall look and feel of the UI now closely mirrors the experience that you get when you log into github.com. You'll see that new posts are categorized into 3 categories: release, improvement, or deprecation. There are a set of 12 curated categories that you can filter to see changes in that product. We have this looks cool. So it looks like they have filters. We have introduced a new summarization feature to help assist quick consumption of content so you don't have to read through each individual post unless you want to. Posts are now grouped into months for easy viewing. This is awesome. There you go. Improvements to the changelog. I love how the URL here is blog github.com develop.go-vip.co. I enjoy that they left that in there. That's fantastic. So a little insider experience for you all. You're welcome. You're welcome. The changes were supposed to happen 2 days ago. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Something happened. Like, my guess is that they started to roll it out and something was going very wrong. Like either security or whatnot. Like something was going very wrong and they just had to shut it down because it wasn't like a quick fix. That like the only thing I can come up with. So yeah, that's the only thing I can, that's the only thing I can think of is you make an announcement, then you pull it because something wasn't right. And it's not a quick, easy fix. It's a fix that needs testing. Which I think if you've already made the announcement post, GitHub, let's have a quick chat. If you've already made the announcement post, you need to make another announcement post. Don't think that there's not people like me with no life that's going to sit there and watch and capture as soon as you release something new. Okay? Don't think that's not going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to get called out on it. And you're going to get caught with egg on your face, whatever that means. I'm Canadian and Chinese. I don't know what these American sayings are. You're going to get caught with egg on your face. Make another announcement and say, hey, we're actually delaying this. Or update the post and say, edit, we're delaying the release of this feature. You'll see it in 2 weeks. Let's move on, because there was a rash of GitHub stuff. A guide to decide what AI model to use in GitHub Copilot. Now, I have had this question asked to me a lot of times. Now, a lot of the times, my recommendation is use the one that it defaults to, because that's the one that it's actually been, trained to do its thing with. I know for Cursor, this is 100% true. If you change the model around, it doesn't do quite as well, because I feel like they've actually optimized. I know that they've released a lot of stuff on this for how, Claude does stuff. Now, that being said, this was actually really cool. I haven't tested it out, but they actually change which model they're doing depending on what type of task that they're doing. And maybe they've programmed it for that, and that's fine. So I'm going to actually, if you guys use Copilot, I haven't actually been using Copilot for a long time. If you're leveraging Copilot, you might actually think about doing this and leveraging this. I'm interested in understanding a little bit better. If it's actually useful. On top of that, Dependabot now lets you schedule update frequencies with cron expressions. I actually love this. Dependabot users can now schedule custom update frequencies by using cron expressions in schedule.interval in the Dependabot configure. This enhances the predefined intervals, daily, weekly, monthly, and provides more generic and robust solutions. This gives Dependabot users the ability to find custom schedules that meet their specific needs. I love this. I actually really disliked this right here. This was almost good enough, but just wasn't quite good enough. And this allows you to be like, okay, Monday morning, I want to have all my Dependabots thing, and I can just burn through them every Monday morning. It's beautiful. I love it. I think that this was a great update. If you guys aren't on Dependabot cron jobbing, you got to start cronning with Dependabot. There's no better solution. GitHub Copilot code review now supports C, C++, Kotlin, and Swift. Now, I want to remind you guys that GitHub is owned by Microsoft. I found this right here to be really interesting. Now, we haven't actually tested this out on stream, but we're going to test this out on stream soon enough because there's a few achievements that are made, and once those achievements are made, I'm going to do a C++ stream, and we're going to test out the code review, see how angry it gets at my code. Yeah, I also love the Swift support. I'm kind of a Swift fan, not the T Swift, the C Swift, code Swift. I'm kind of a Swift fan. So I'm excited about this. And boo Kotlin, boo anything built on Java. I'm sorry. Child-friendly stream, Java. All right, moving on. Dependabot now. I don't know why I have this in there twice. No reason. Absolutely none. Okay. Now, I do want you to remember this because we have a kind of what the crap WTC Microsoft move, but it's one we could have foreseen. It's one they talked about in 2022. It's one they made legally possible in 2022. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later if you're wanting to know why this is an interesting development. C++ win? Well, I don't know. The idea is that C++ 26 is coming out, and I'm going to do a back-to-back 13-hour stream. C++ 26, 26-hour stream. But there's got to be some... You guys got to earn it. And I'm not sure what the goal is going to be for earning that stream. I don't know yet. So stand tuned. But we'll do a 26-hour stream. I mean, if you guys earn it. We'll see. I want to test out all of the C++ 2026 safety features, see if we can't do like some strict enforcement of safety regulations and just do like memory safe C++. I think it would be really cool. It'd also be like, I haven't touched C++ for 10 years. So I'm going to suck at it, and that's also going to be fine. Okay, moving on. OpenAI announced that they were buying Windsurf. Windsurf is like a ugly cousin to Cursor. Windsurf was interesting, but it had these weird, odd charging where it charged random ways and it was almost impossible to know. And with the purchase from OpenAI, they're simplifying it. And I wanted to love it. I wanted to say, hey, we're going to do a Windsurf stream. They're simplifying it, eliminating flow action credits. Who the crap knew what flow actions were? And these were like the actions that they took while dealing with your thing. So this was like them querying themselves. So you didn't even know how many of these you were going to do. Now you only pay per prompt. Stop freaking making me pay per prompt. This is dumb. Stop this. All right. I wanted to be excited. They're consolidating some of these offerings. That's good. But this is something I called V0 out on. I will continue to call every single company out on because this crap needs to stop, because I think that it's tricking you into thinking something. For the Pro plan, you get all of these things: fast tab complete, previews, deploys, priority access to model. You get all these things plus 500 credits. Now, what happens when you use up those 500 credits? What happens? Well, you have to pay for more credits. It costs you $20 to buy another 500 credits, so bulk usage is more expensive than creating multiple accounts. This is asinine and stupid. Okay? This at best should cost the same, $7.50. But in theory, it should be a little bit cheaper, just a little bit cheaper. Let's say $5 for 250 credits instead of $7.50. Make it $7 instead of $7.50. Make it slightly cheaper than the base access that gives you a bunch of other stuff. This $15 gives you unlimited fast tabs. It gives you priority access. It gives you previews and deploys and access to the editor and all those types of things. V0 did this. I've seen it as a thing in the AI world, and I don't understand it. I feel like it's predatory because when you blow through this, you don't realize you're getting charged more than the initial credits. That's my assumption. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts on it are. Is this where I create my own? Look, if the 4,000 doesn't go to buying Chrome, if Google doesn't take me on that, I might buy that Spark machine. Now, if Google takes me up on Chrome, probably not. I'm going to be making an AI-powered browser at that point. But I want to make an AI powered something, and I actually got some really interesting. There was something that happened that I think was really, really cool. Two dudes, I believe they are both in college, don't quote me on that, made this. One second, let me pause the music. Made this.
Realistic dialogue like this. You also get full control over scripts and voices.
Wow, amazing.
Try it now on GitHub or Hugging Face.
How does it hold up to 11 Labs Studio and Sesame 1B?
Well, listen and decide for yourself.
They made this. I'm like, now they had better hardware than I did. Just to be clear, they have better hardware than my 4070. They didn't make this on a single 4070. But this is actually pretty cool. If you guys, 2 undergrads, 1 still in the military, 0 funding. It was pretty cool. Kudos to them. Kudos to them. Will I make a AI powered code editor? Probably not. Probably not. But I'd like to try doing some stuff and seeing what we can and can't do as a community. I think these would be fun projects because if I can provide access to the Spark machine, we could work on it as a community. We could do stuff with it as a community, which I thought would be actually really fun. I want to do some stuff that's, you know, like I do the Null DB, but I don't really want your input. You know, it's kind of my thing. And I know it's open source, but I want to do some more things where we can do it as a community. So anyways, we might. Let's move on. I got to get through the news. Did you hear Perplexity is making a browser? Well, Perplexity is either buying Chrome or making a browser. Either way, I won't use it. I need a good browser that's open source. I need a good browser. I am done fighting Zen. I love Zen. Their tab bar is atrocious. Atrocious. Maybe I should just start contributing to Zen. Maybe I need to help with it. I feel like I wouldn't be good at it, but moving on. We had another release from ChatGPT. Since we're talking a little bit about ChatGPT, they bought Windsurf, introducing GPT 4.1 in the API. So 4.1, you can't actually use in ChatGPT, which is kind of a shame, but it has some really cool things that you guys might want to know about. First, it comes with 4.1 Nano, which is their smallest model yet and cheapest. So we're definitely going to switch to using Nano to save the monies. I mean, it doesn't really matter. We're using 4.0 Mini at this point, and it's costing me less than a penny. Less than a penny, especially because I forgot to turn my alerts back on, and so it's costing me nothing right now. But there are a couple really interesting things that you guys should be aware of that if you want to use. First is that all of these support 1 million token contexts. That's a huge context. That is the largest context of modern things. 1 million tokens is a massive context. So if you're doing something where you need a large context, like coding would be a great one, 4.1 is probably the API you want to hit. Now remember, long context means lots of tokens. All that context costs tokens, but it's pretty good at that. So anyways, this is its comparison to 4.0. I really don't see a reason to use 4.1. It's not that much better than 4.0 and costs a little bit more. I would use like the Nano and the Mini are the ones that are like pretty cool. Yeah, super low latency, super awesome. Anyways, so I thought that was pretty cool, but I still wonder, like with this, didn't they say that they were going to focus on 5 and they weren't going to release 3.0 and 4.1? Didn't they say that they were focusing on 5? Like this was just 2 months ago, Sam. Like one thing that hurts companies is a lack of good driving leadership. when you come out and say something, you need to be headed for that as a company. You need to be driving that thing. I implore you to do that because this is a little weird. From an outsider's perspective, it's a little weird, right? You said you were going to put all your focus on 5. 5 was going to be this big multi-model. Are you focusing on 5? I don't know. Oh yeah. Sam and I go way back. By way back is I've just talked into the void to Sam all the time. You know, he's a very quiet friend. He doesn't really talk back often or ever. But, you know, to me, we go way back. We go way back. Sam and I do. All right. I saw something that I think is interesting. We've been watching Salesforce, and Salesforce has been trying to hype up its AI. And in doing so, they released 0 chances of working at OpenAI. I probably have 0 chance. If they did a hiring and then watched any of my videos, probably would have 0 chance. Sam from Spy Training. The plot thickens. We pretend not to know each other. We pretend like this is all a shamble. We pretend that we don't know each other. And we actually are playing like we're enemies to play it up that we don't know each other. Like that's actually all a game we like to play, Sam and I. Yeah, it's a fun game. It's a fun game we play together. While we're talking about AI. While we're talking about AI, we've been watching Salesforce, and Salesforce came out with something that I think actually kind of missed the boat a little. But it's interesting that people are starting to think this way, and I think that it's probably a good starter platform. So you can go check it out. The agentic maturity model. And I'll tell you why I think it misses the boat a little bit. So they have these levels, these 4 levels. One is fixed rules and repetitive tasks, chatbot and copilots, information retrieval, simple orchestration, single domain, and then they jump from complex orchestration, multiple domain. There needs to be more between 2, 3, and 4. Because the thing is, like, this goes like multiple agents on multiple domains, but you could have multiple agents on a single domain. So it's not granular enough, and it's these really large leaps. And the same goes with these, like between simple orchestration, single domain, and complex orchestration, multiple domains, you have 2 different things that you're doing, the orchestration as well as the number of domains, and you need to break those into different things for a couple reasons. Which one should I try to do first? I shouldn't try to do complex orchestration in multiple domains at the same time. I probably should focus on one, and that's where this path would become really interesting. I'm not even sharing my screen, and I'm so sorry about that. That's where this would become so interesting, is when you actually have a roadmap where, hey, when you do this, you don't want to go multiple domains first. You want to go complex orchestration first, and then you want to come down into multiple domains. You want to break it down where there's a little bit of a roadmap. Right now, these aren't really road mapping. So while they provide these maturity levels, it doesn't mean a whole lot. Almost everybody is at least a level 2, or at least a level 1, having level 0 and level 1, like informal agent retrieval agents, like whatever. Most are even level 2. And so like these don't provide abundantly useful things to help a person strive towards maturity. Another thing that I would like to see in the maturity rankings when you're releasing these, especially if you're a company like Salesforce that has a lot of experience in AI, is how do you do these things safely? So if I'm a level 2, I should have some stance on safety. It's like when you're SOC 2 compliant, right? You have some controls in place. It's not meaning you won't be breached. It means that you have some controls in place to try to alleviate that, to help with it, to whatnot. So what I would like to see is, one, a little finer detail of this. Make it a 10-level thing, because there's a lot of things, and be opinionated in that. And the other thing is, don't go about the capabilities, but go about the safety, because anybody can do level 4. It won't be safe. Anybody can do this super easily. It's not going to be safe. So I want to see that baked in, because all you say here at the very end, evolve security and governance for ecosystem-wide collaboration. What does that even mean? It's word salad. It's word salad. Let's move on. We have other things to talk about. A new legal letter aimed at OpenAI lays out stark terms. Basically, AI is in a battle to basically go from a nonprofit to a for-profit. I'm very against this. So this is bias on my part. I'm sure that there's people that are for it. I personally am definitely against it. Right now, I love this chart, and the reason I pull out this chart as something that I like and I will share with you guys is it kind of talks about what that means. Basically, when you're a for-profit, profit has to be your number one thing. When you're a nonprofit, it actually isn't. Your leadership is actually supposed to focus on what its governance is for. And the leadership of this is for the general good of humanity. And so the leadership can legally be held by the Attorney General accountable to making AI good for humanity. And I feel very strongly about this. So, I don't know what we can do as individuals. If I knew of something, I would let you guys know. This is a personal stance. It's not really news. So we'll move on. Personal stances, be gone. Personal stances, be gone. It doesn't have to act exclusively for profit. It just needs to have a justifiable reason. But that justifiable... Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and this is what it's going to say. We're going to lose money for the next 2 years sinking it into this thing to make us profit. You're still justifying it by profit, though, right? You can say, hey, we're going to do this thing that's going to cost us money, but it's better for the environment, and that's what people want. It's still justifying it by profit because you have people. I feel like I haven't seen it successfully done the other way. Unethical, yeah, okay, possibly. I've not really seen this, but possibly. I'm not a lawyer, though. Don't take mine as legal advice, but I do think it's very important for them to stay a nonprofit because it changes what their mission is. I like the mission of the original OpenAI. I don't think that they actually hold to it right now, but I like the original mission of OpenAI. Okay. OpenAI is hiring. I bring this up because we can see trends with it. I don't know what trend I am watching with this. I'm watching OpenAI. I let my boss know that I'm watching their job postings. They would never hire me, so he doesn't have to worry. That would blow Sam and Mai's cover. But it's interesting because they are looking for hardware engineers. Not their only job posting, so they're definitely looking for hardware. Does this mean that they're looking to run their own OS? Does this mean that they're looking to build their own Does this mean that they're looking to build their own hardware? Does it mean that they're looking to have somebody work in the kernel and make stuff in the kernel better? They put some information in here, but it's a little vague. Building custom kernels, contributing to compiler infrastructure, developing scalable solution systems. This is a little vague. I mean, it gives you an idea, but it's a little vague. But I'm going to be watching because I do think that this is a pretty interesting place where you can get some cool information. All right. Enough with the AI. And by enough with the AI, I mean, for now, we're going to talk about some open source stuff and something that I don't think it's open source, but something that was, yeah. We're going to talk about open source. We have a lot of open source stuff. Is it OS kernel? They specifically stated Linux kernel. But that's the only specific. There was a bunch of other vague stuff. No, I don't think it's CUDA engineers. If you read, and the only reason, I mean, maybe, you'll be helped to optimize the level stack that orchestrates computation and data movement across OpenAI's supercomputing cluster. This doesn't scream GPU to me. Like, you could, but this doesn't scream GPU to me. High performing runtimes, that's possibly. Deploying custom kernels. Again, this isn't saying Linux kernel, but down here they talked about the Linux kernel. Contributing to compiler infrastructure, not GPUs would be my understanding. Developing scalable simulation systems, maybe GPUs. I didn't read this and read GPUs. All right, let's talk about open source. I actually need to get going. I'm like pretty late. So let's talk about this. Linus Torvalds released the 16.15 merge window. Oh man, my words gone. Close the merge window for release 6.15. So all the features are in. There was some interesting features that were rolled out, and I have a eBPF stream planned out, so I was interested in the BPF subsystem updates that were allowed in here. I also what was the other one? Yeah, there were some pin controllers that I was excited about, but there was one other one that was I forget. Oh, the rock chip. Yeah. Okay, the rock chip. So I know that you guys know that I'm a Pine 64 enjoyer. They use rock chips a lot on theirs. So I was excited to see that support go into it. So anyways, pretty cool. But yeah, there's some cool stuff that got in the merge window. Debian project leader election for 2025. I put myself in there. Nobody wanted me. They were like, "Who are you?" No, I actually did not. I did offer Google to buy Chrome from them, but haven't gotten a response. So anyways, there's the elections going on. If you're actively in Debian, you might want to be a part of this. I'm not, so I'm just letting you know that's what's happening. Can you smell what the rock chip is processing? Yes. When the rock chip is processing, you can smell it. It gets warm. HMPL. Did I know what it was before I saw this? The answer is no, I didn't. But it's an open source project, and I like giving. I like to give them a shout out when I see open source projects because there's somebody that loves this project, somebody that's using it, and they came out with a new big milestone. And so kudos to that person. I do not know Anthony Max at all, but kudos. Everything. What is it? In my opinion, when I was reading what this is, this right here is it's HTMX, basically. It's kind of like HTMX. That goes to like I don't where did it yeah, server-oriented, customizable templating for JavaScript. There you go. It is kind of like a take on Next.js, server-side rendering, HTMX, whatnot. I'm not saying it's the exact same. I'm saying it's like those things. So they had a huge change in semantics. I'm not going to go into this because very few of us know what it even is or why this would be cool. I actually read this oddly, like in detail, because I got what I liked about it was that he went into details about why these things didn't work, and why they made big changes, what went wrong, and the thought process. And so I was actually just interested in the thought process that went through into doing this. So like, cool. And good job at doing that. Open source project. HMPL right here. You can check out the change logs. Boom. 3.0 released. Beautiful. I'm one of the top 6 HTMX developers. I suck at HTMX. I'm not great at it. 4 big changes WebAssembly developers need to know. I gotta go fast. I'm sorry. I actually wanted to talk about these. I'm excited about async. I'm excited about multi-threaded execution. I'm excited about shared memory. And I'm excited about garbage collection. Actually, not really excited about the last one, but I'm excited about all the other things. I think garbage collection will actually make it easier for some languages, but the shared memory and the multi-threaded execution, async, will be huge steps up. That I think are supposed to be coming out later this year. Very exciting. The CNCF announces the graduation of Intoto. If you don't know what Tutu is, well, I think it's actually Toto, but I like to pronounce it Intutu. It's a security framework for supply chain integrity across. Now, I talk about Intutu. I also talk about Salsa. I like both of those frameworks. We should have a comparison of those at some point. I wouldn't consider myself an expert. I need to get Dan Lornick here to give me his thoughts. I will see if I can't get an expert on to talk about Salsa versus Intutu. But yeah, I like seeing the security projects really coming into fruition. Humble. My goodness. Like I said, Scott, you're always bad AI. Bad AI. Talking when you're not supposed to. Another big project out there, open source project, is Linkerd. If you're tired of Istio, the big difference between Linkerd and Istio is Linkerd was meant to be used by us mere mortals and not the legendary gods of networking that it requires for Istio. So that's like the big deal. And one other small difference, which really is an implementation detail, is that they don't use the big proxy that... Why can't I remember the stupid proxy name? Well, they don't use that proxy. The one that everybody uses. Well, I'll come up with it in a little bit, probably after the stream. But Linkerd doesn't use that anymore, and or has never used it. Anyways, they released 2.18. It's awesome. You should go check it out. What is it? What is it? Not Nginx. It's Envoy. Envoy. Ah, yeah, Russell got it too. Envoy. Great minds think alike. Envoy. Why could I not think of Envoy proxy? I don't know. NVIDIA, PhysicsS, and Flow are now fully open source. Originally, when they open source these things, they were only the CPU components and not the GPU components. And it's really, really cool. PhysicsX and Flow are now fully open source, including the code that runs on the GPU. So if you're trying to learn how to do some of this GPU programming and those types of things, like here's an open source project that's available for you to look at. Now it's under the the BSD3 license. So anyways, that is what it is. So awesome. NVIDIA might stink. I don't care about your opinion of them. Having this out there for people to learn with is amazing. And under the 3-clause BSD license, you can actually go and look at it without fear of repercussions. So that's awesome. Oops, wrong direction. The last thing in open source news is for you Rust developers out there, you beautiful people. Azure is now supporting Rust. I think now Microsoft has solidified itself as the cloud for rustic people. For us Rusties, it's the cloud. Check it out. Check it out. 16 days ago, they released all of these beautiful things. Azure Messaging Event Hubs, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Identity, Azure Core, Azure Storage Blob, Azure SDK for Rust. Okay, not this last one. But all of these. It looks like Microsoft is fully embracing Rust, which is awesome. All right. Let's see. What do we have? I have one last thing. I have a couple things, but let's just fly through these things. I gotta fly. I got 5 minutes. Telegram pledges to exit markets rather than undermine encryption with backdoors. This was a big deal in France when they basically wanted them to make backdoors into all encryption. And good stance, in my opinion. Good stance. All right, Dev sound. This is the big thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Dev sounds alarm after Microsoft tracks the C++ extension for VS Code forks. Now, very interestingly, in 2022, I pulled it up. You can see that general, you may install and use any number of copies of the software only with Microsoft Visual Studio, Visual Studio for Mac, Visual Studio Code, Azure DevOps, Team Foundation Server, and successor Microsoft products and services to develop and test your applications. This is not new. This was, I said 2022. It's 2020. This was 4 years ago. This happened 4 years ago. I actually remember announcing this on the news, and they haven't enforced it. But you've been technically breaking the terms of service if you've leveraged it in another product. That being said, Microsoft actually removed the support. You cannot use it in Cursor or Chromium or Codium, VS Codium. I forget what it is called, but whatever. You can't use it anymore. I was going to say, it's a proprietary version that you didn't actually have the permission to use. So anyways, that was it. That was the news for today. I have to run. Thank you everybody for joining me today. I enjoyed your presence. I enjoyed you communing with me over the news of tech news. And